Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to talk to you about tea and books. I'm going to be recommending you some books based on prompts that I've created by teas that I really like. If you're new here, you might not know that I'm absolutely a huge tea lover as well as a reader, and I especially like Pukka teas. For the last year I've been really caught up on their teas, so I've chosen some of my favourite Pukka teas and created prompts around them. I would like this to be a tag, so I'm going to be calling it the Tea Time with Me tag, and I'll be tagging a bunch of friends in the description box below if you want to give it a go, but mostly I just wanted to recommend you some books based on tea. I've done this before with other things such as bookmarks and mugs among others, and now it's tea's turn. Let's do it. First tea is Mint Refresh. I love this tea. I love the flavour of rose. It can be such a nice light touch, and I didn't realise that I actually liked peppermint tea until I tried this Mint Refresh. It is so very good, and I would like to recommend a book that does something a little bit different, does something a bit refreshing, and you can take that any way in which you like. And so I've gone for World War Z by Max Brooks, which is a book I'm actually currently reading, and I'm finding it refreshing because the format is so different, and it's such a science fiction-y, dystopian-y take on zombies, and I'm finding that new and different and fascinating. And it's told in a series of interviews and also testimonies of people who have survived this zombie apocalypse, and it's talking about how it started, what happened during it, and it just jumps from all of these different people who have been part of the outbreak, who've been in different roles and chose to do different things, and it's just so incredibly fascinating and such a fun way to tell that story. So even though I'm not done with the book, that is the book that I'm currently reading, and I would choose to answer this prompt. Then we have Revitalise, and when I drank this tea, it woke me up. I was feeling healthy, I was feeling excited about life. It was just so good in flavors, and so for that one I would want to have something that you need to be revitalized, you need to be energized to really understand. So you're going to be choosing a book that you really need to pay attention to. It's not a book you can read while you're distracted or your mind is on something else, and for that I have chosen Paradise Lost by John Milton, which is a hefty classic book that is told in epic verse. It's an epic poetry, and it is talking about the stories and events that happened around Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and it's talking about the devil's fall from heaven. It's all of that kind of religious, heavy thematic of good and bad and hell and heaven and the ways of human and sin. It's all of that distilled, well, not really distilled all that much, into one big classic, all written in verse. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It's inspired me a lot in my writing. It's inspired many people. The imagery and descriptions in it are fantastic. And if you are going to get it, make sure you don't do what I did and actually get an edition that has punctuation in it, which can be very helpful. Originally it was written without punctuation, but the edit in of punctuation is just useful for what is an already challenging book. Ooh, the next flavour is Blackcurrant Beauty, and when I tried this, let me tell you, my mind was blown. I even have a vlog where I show my live reaction, and oh my goodness, it was great. And that is a tea that is rich in flavour, it is rich in taste, and so I would like you to choose a book that is rich in writing. And for this one I've chosen the 5th Season Trilogy, the Broken Earth Trilogy really, by N.K. Jemisin, because it is rich in every single way. It's rich in world building, it's rich in character development, it is rich in thematic discussion. There is no sense of lack of richness in this book, and in this one I've talked about this so much on my channel, but I just love it. And in this one we're following Oseman, who is someone who lives in the futuristic world where these seasons happen, and every season is kind of a bit of an apocalypse situation, and humans just try to survive the best they can. And in this world, origins exist because they are people that can manipulate and move the earth and create earthquakes, and they are quite powerful, but you'd think that these would be the most powerful people, but they are not. They are the oppressed, and this is what happens when the 5th season starts up. It is phenomenal. I can't say anything more to convince people to read it because I've talked about it to death on this channel, but it is absolutely fantastic. All of the questions are down below, by the way. So the next tea is the one that I have a box of at the moment, and it is Winter Warmer, and oh my goodness, it just warms you up from the inside, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. When I come in from the cold, Winter Warmer is full, it's rich, it's a great one for Christmas because it's got the like anise flavours and a bit of the orangey, but it's also got some like ginger and warm tones to it too. And for this, I would like you to recommend a book that is perfect for winter. I've chosen to interpret that as a book that's set during a cold place and set during winter, and for that I've gone for Beartown by Fredrick Backman, which is one of the best books that I read last year. I absolutely loved it. It's about this town where ice hockey is everything. The economy, the people, they all survive or are built around the ice hockey team, and it's about when something happens in this town that gets them to question the culture around the ice hockey. And I personally thought it was very, very well written. It was engaging, it was intense. It did such a good job of making me care about ice hockey, which is a sport that I had no interest in whatsoever before starting, and it does a good job of showing what different people do in certain situations and why they did or did not do those things in very believable ways. The next one is the lemon, ginger and Manuka Honey flavour. I love Manuka Honey. I first had it in Australia and then I had it in New Zealand, and both times it was absolutely fantastic. I'm also a big fan of a lemon and ginger tea. I love the flavour of lemon, I love the flavour of ginger, so put them together and it's very good, it's very comforting. And so I would like you to recommend an old favourite, something that gives you comfort when you're ill or when you're feeling down. And for me, I would just have to go with Ariel by Sylvia Plath. It's my go-to poetry collection. I know when you're sad or when you're feeling ill, you don't actually want something that will make you even more sad. But as people know, I watch West Side Story when I'm ill, and I read Ariel by Sylvia Plath when I'm ill, because when I'm sad, I just want to feel sad. I don't want to feel anything else. And I appreciate getting to feel and work my way through those emotions. And reading Ariel, which is a poetry collection that has to do with sometimes suicidal thoughts, sometimes health, sometimes being a mother and being a woman and just having expectations of you that you don't want to fulfill. All of those things are encapsulated in this poetry collection. It's incredibly amazing poetry. It's so well written. It's my favourite poetry collection of all time, and it just speaks to me in every single way when I read it. I've reread that collection 3 times and I annotated it from the first poem to the last 3 times, and each time something new, something different. Next up we have Ginseng Matcha tea, and I did learn what ginseng is since trying it. It's a type of root, and I don't typically like matcha flavours. It's not for me, it's not my kind of thing, but this tea had me thinking that maybe I would, and it could be because of the ginseng combination in it. And so I would like you to recommend a book that is full of things you don't usually like, but somehow, for some reason, you liked this book. And for that, I will be going for The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've already talked about this book so very many times on my channel lately, but it is a high fantasy book where it feels like a prologue. It's told entirely in flashback. It's got a training montage that is very, very extensive. And those are all 3 things that I really don't tend to enjoy in books. And yet, I loved this book and had such a good time with it. I was here for it. I was here for the flashback element. I was here for the fact that we were slowly learning every single little thing about how his magic worked and how he was building it up. And I was just enraptured by it all. And therefore, I loved this book, even though it's full of things I don't tend to enjoy. Then we have the 3 cinnamon tea. This was one of the first teas that I tried because I adore cinnamon, and so when I saw 3 layers of different types of cinnamon, I thought, why wouldn't I love that? And it was clear that I knew myself because I did love it. And cinnamon is one of those seasonings that's actually very heartwarming. It's a good thing to consume in winter because it warms you up from the inside. And so I wanted to have this one around a heartwarming book that you just think is genuine and heartwarming and lovely. And for that, I just had to recommend The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I think it's one of the most heartwarming books I've ever read, really. It's just me in a book with a bow on it. So this one follows this magical world where magical creatures exist, but magical creatures are discriminated against, and it's set at this orphanage for magical creatures. And an inspector is sent to inspect these magical creatures who are more magical than the average. and he kind of learns about the discrimination and what's really going on in society with magical children. It's like a low fantasy, a cozy fantasy, and it's like a big hug to the reader. And I don't know how to say it, but it's got the found family vibes. It's got some really cute kids involved, and it's just adorable. It's adorable on a plate. Why wouldn't you want to read it? Oh, and then we have the original chai, and this is the only time you can say chai tea, and it actually makes sense because it is chai flavoring in a tea bag. And it's kind of when you want the original thing, but you don't know how to make the original thing authentically yourself, and so you get the next best thing, which is this chai tea from Pukka. And so I want you to recommend a retelling, because a retelling is not the original, but it can be the next best thing. And so the retelling I'm going to go with here is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. And this is actually a retelling of The Catcher in the Rye. It's not the original, but it is the best thing, because I cannot stand the original, but I loved Solitaire. This one follows Tori, who is the sister in the very well loved Heartstopper series, and this was the book that came first, and it's just about her experience going to this school, feeling like she doesn't fit in, feeling like what is the point in life. It's dealing with mental health, so do go in knowing that's going to be very intense. It's full of angst. It's like angst on angst on angst. That's what this book is, because she is done with life, she is overdramatic, she is melodramatic, she's finished. And it's all about the ways in which her friends are kind of falling for boys and everything, and school is happening, she just doesn't see the point in any of it, and she's trying to get through. That's what this book is. I thought it was fantastic. Ooh, now we're going to talk about the chamomile, vanilla and Manuka honey. You can tell that Pukka likes the Manuka honey, as do I, and this was a tea that is one of their nighttime teas. So it's one of the ones in their range that are supposed to help you get to sleep, and it really does. It's very, very soothing. I'm someone who has insomnia, so anything that can help me get to sleep is always, always welcome. And I want to go for a book that is so soothing that you can sleep easy after reading it. And for that, I had to go for Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. And this is because if I'm going to be reading something where I just want to slip into sleep, I want it to be a book that I've read enough times that I could put it down or finish in the middle of a sentence or just fall asleep reading it, and I won't lose my place. I won't forget anything, and it won't even matter if I jump into the middle of the book, read 3 pages and go to sleep, because I know the story that well. And for that, it had to be Twilight. Last but not least, the tea that I'm going to go for here is the 3 Fennel tea. When I first had the 3 Fennel tea, I was not excited. I didn't know what Fennel was. It didn't sound very exciting. It just sounded standard. And then I had it, and it was a pleasant surprise. And while it's not my favorite tea of all time, I can see how it's good for you. And so the prompt for this is a book that's good for you, even if you didn't wholeheartedly love it. And for that one, I'm going with Out of the Sun by S.C. Edgerton, which is an essay collection I recently read, and it's got essays on race with a particular focus on Black Renaissance figures in art, Black history in Asia, and also Black and superstition and ghosts and ghost stories in Black culture. And all of these essays were very insightful and interesting. There was also one on Afrofuturism, but I didn't particularly like the way that the essays were structured. So even though it wasn't my favorite reading experience ever, I still learned a lot and thought it was very, very worthwhile. And therefore, I do still recommend it to people every now and again. There you have it. Those are some books that I recommend based on different prompts I've created around tea. I will have all of the questions down below. If you want to join in and do it, go for it. It's the Tea Time with Me tag, and I'll also be linking some people down below, or tagging I should say, who I think should definitely do this tag as well. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Oh, please let me know in the comment section down below what is your favorite type of tea, or if you're a coffee drinker, tell me the way you have your coffee, but just know that tea is superior. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!